Hi folks, Josh Wolf with Wolf Vintage Watches here. Welcome to my shop. In this video, we're going to take a look at a 1973 Hamilton Dorchester. Let's get into it. Please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my videos if you're into vintage watches. And if you enjoy this video, please give the like button a click. Okay, let's knock out the basic specs of this 1973 Hamilton Dorchester. The watch is 36 millimeters wide, excluding the crown, and has a length of 43 millimeters. It's 13 millimeters thick to the top of the domed acrylic crystal, and the lug width is 20 millimeters. The case and screw-down case back are stainless steel, and the crown is signed. The movement is a Swiss-made, ETA-based, Hamilton automatic caliber 625. I'll get into more detail on this movement a little later since it's pretty special. The Dorchester was made for just 2 years in 1973 and 1974. In the 1973 catalog, it was branded under the Day and Date series, but in 1974, Hamilton added the term self-winding to the lineup to switch the branding to the self-winding Day and Date series. If you were able to pick out the subtle differences between the 73 and 74 models just from the catalog pictures, leave a comment below. Before I reveal it later in this video, you cheater. The Dorchester is emblematic of watch design in the 70s. The barrel case with the integrated lugs, colors of the dial, and the day and date window at the 6 o'clock leave no doubt the decade that this watch was born in. The bezel of this case still has the factory radial brushing. From a distance, it gives the appearance of a satin finish. It's only when we take a closer look can we see the brushing radiating out from the center. The bevel and case sides have a high polish, and fortunately, it doesn't look like this case has been over-polished and maybe not polished at all throughout its life. There are, of course, a few dings and scratches here and there, but I'll trade some minor blemishes for factory brushing all day long. The case back is screw down, and like the bezel, still shows the factory brushing. Completing our tour of the case is the original signed Hamilton crown. Moving on from the case, let's get to that incredible dial. Hoo-wee, is that groovy or what? The Dorchester has applied silver-toned hour markers with white enamel accents painted down the middle. There are actually 3 facets of the applied markers that reflect light at different angles. Aside from the appearance of the markers, they are super tall, giving even more depth and texture to the dial. The handset on this watch is original with very light patina on the hour and minute hands. The lume is probably original and has taken on an excellent brownish color. Personally, I don't like to relume hands or dials. I respect other collectors and watchmakers that prefer to remove the old lume and paint hands and dials with new, but for my taste, I like the look of the old stuff. The hour and minute hands are both silver with white painted enamel down the middle, interrupted only by the lume. The smooth sweeping second hand is painted white to match the center white strips running down the center of the hour and minute hands. The dial is a matte black color and can almost look like a deep blue under certain conditions. There are a few bits of patina here and there on the textured dial that are really most noticeable under magnification and certainly under the relentlessness of a macro lens. And my goodness, check out that minute track. The inner half of the track is painted with thick orange enamel markers. These minute markers are almost like pads the enamel is applied so thick. There are very fine spaces between each of these orange markers that let the black of the dial peek through, giving the illusion of a painted line separating them. There are thinly painted white lines that match up with the space between the orange paint on the outer half of the minute track. I just can't get enough of this design. Using 2 colors of enamel and the black of the dial, the minute track when viewed as a whole is both interesting and detailed while still being completely legible. I'm the furthest thing from a graphic designer, but this is like magic to me. The only break in that killer minute track is the day and date window at the 6 o'clock. The first thing that jumps out to most people is the vertical orientation of the window. Plenty of modern watches have a date window at the 6 o'clock, but I don't know if any of them have a vertical day and date at the bottom of the dial. Let me know if there are some modern examples that use this design down in the comments. My favorite detail of this window though is the beveled and polished silver frame. Again, the attention to detail and the decision to go to the extra effort to apply a physical frame to the day-date window rather than just painting it on or even leaving it bare really puts it over the top. The high-polished H logo at the 12 o'clock adds yet another level to this dial. It's applied so it raises off the dial, creating another surface to reflect light and create interesting shadows. And of course, the silver color of the H logo ties the hour markers, the hands, the day-date frame, and the stainless steel case together beautifully. Just below the supplied logo are 3 lines of painted text. There is, of course, the Hamilton brand name, followed by the self-winding text indicating that this is an automatic watch. And below that is the number 36,000. This line of text tells us 2 important and interesting things. First, it tells us that this watch has a high beat movement that beats at 36,000 times an hour. And second, even though the Dorchester was made for 2 years, it was only offered with a high beat movement its first year of production in 1973. This is the difference between the 73 and 74 models. The 73 has a 36,000 line of text on the dial, where the 74 does not. Protecting the dial is a low-domed acrylic crystal. I feel like I gush about acrylic crystals a lot, and I'm not going to stop now. I mean, just look at that. One unique thing about the setup is that what looks like a reflector or tension ring inside the crystal is actually a part of the case itself. This polished ring, where you might expect a chapter ring to be, transitions between the flat of the dial to the sides of the crystal. It also reflects and bounces light across the dial, the markers, and the hands. It's so cool. I have this Dorchester on a 2-piece black leather strap with contrasting stitching and silver tone buckle. It also has quick release spring bars. The Dorchester would have originally come on a stainless steel bracelet, but those can be a little difficult to source, which is why this guy gets leather instead. Now I get to take out the movement and give you a closer look at this beauty. As mentioned, this watch has a 17-jewel, Swiss-made, ETA-based Hamilton caliber 625 under the hood. Here's what 36,000 beats per hour sounds like on the time grapher. The high beat of this watch, which is twice that of most vintage movements at the time, means that the center sweep seconds hand sweeps very smoothly across the dial. As special as this movement is, it's not the only high beat caliber that Hamilton stuck inside the Dorchester. Some examples came with an A-shield based Hamilton caliber 631. I just so happen to have a Hamilton caliber 631 here, buried inside this Claremont. Those of you with a keen eye for detail will notice that it is the golden twin brother of the Dorchester. I'll link you to one of the first reviews I ever put on YouTube about the Claremont at the end of this video, but I want to use it here to demonstrate the 2 distinct differences between the 625 and 631 calibers. First, to change the day on the 631, the crown is pushed in, and the day is not quickset. The 625 that's in the Dorchester has the more typical day-date quick change setup by pulling the crown out to the second position and turning it clockwise or counterclockwise. The second difference is that the 631 hacks where the 625 does not. I'm not entirely sure why Hamilton would have used 2 high beat movements in the same model of watch. If you have any theories, I'd love to hear them in the comments. To see the Dorchester, the Claremont, or many other watches I have for sale, head on over to wolfvintagewatches.com. Link will be in the description below. I serviced the 625 movement in October 2020, and I'll be posting a video of that soon. I have to say, this was an oily mess when I opened it up and not running well at all. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss that video when it comes out. As promised, the video on the left is one of the very first videos I ever made for YouTube where I review the Hamilton Claremont, the gold-plated version of the Dorchester. If you'd like to help feed the YouTube algorithm, check out whatever video our computer overlord is suggesting for you on the right. If both videos are the same, just watch them twice.